004943. Jungle Driving School now offering a 10% discount for KELP listeners. See you in the jungle.
You are listening to KELP El Paso. Feed your mind, feed your soul at 1590 AM, 95.9 FM. Streaming worldwide at KELPradio.com.
915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host,
Episode 295 of 915 Talk. Good afternoon, beautiful city. Yes. If we don't applaud ourselves, who will applaud us? Kenny on the board. This is 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Freck, and today we are yet again broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We're here at the KELP studio in El Paso, and we have Kenneth on the board this afternoon. Kenny, how you doing?
I'm doing well, boss. How are you doing today?
I thought you'd never ask.
You always think I'd never ask, and I always ask.
Yeah, well, I must confess my vocabulary is painfully poverty-stricken. I am unable to describe the wonder and joy that I experience each and every weekday afternoon as we have embarked on this educational journey as we learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
We're going to have to give your vocabulary a raise.
But Kenny on the board, today we're going to be learning about something, I don't know if it's interesting to you.
Okay.
Elder care.
Yes, that would be interesting to me.
And I'm not
I take care of my mom.
Yeah, I'm not talking about those who are in leadership in a church, not those
Right.
elders.
Right. No, I didn't go there.
I'm talking about the loved ones in our life who need a helping hand. You say you know someone like that?
Oh, I take care of my mom. That's the whole reason why I moved to El Paso.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be talking about that today. So we have a very special guest with us. Do you know why he's special, Kenny, on the board?
He is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God.
Yes.
And he was earlier than most guests.
Yes, he was punctual. We appreciate that. When our guests walk through the door as the intro music is playing, I gain white whiskers on my beard. But he was here plenty early. We've been having a great chat. He is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God. He's also a true son of the borderland.
All right.
Also, Kenny on the board.
Yes, sir.
He's a former UTEP linebacker.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's really big and muscular. So he's so big and muscular, it almost broke our cameras. We had to back away the camera from the microphone. But he's also the executive director of the Legacy at Cimarron.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds fancy, the
It
Legacy
sure
at
does.
Cimarron. Yeah, it's an assisted living, senior living community over on El
okay.
Paso's west side.
I was going to say they had a stallion. Cimarron? The spirit stallion of Cimarron?
Not easily accessible humor. Yeah.
It was my daughter's favorite movie, or her first movie I ever took her to see.
He knows
She
what
was
you're
4 or
talking
5.
about. I have no idea. But he's also a senior living coach. And
Okay.
And this is the thing, Kenny, on the board. Every person has different needs.
Right.
Right? It's not like there's one particular level of need and for everyone. And so we're going to be learning about that, what the different levels are and what some of the opportunities are
Okay.
for receiving care for those different levels. And guess what?
But
Nothing in this broadcast is in any way to be construed as medical advice or legal advice or any kind of advice. It's for informational purposes only. If you need help, reach out to a licensed professional. Turn off the radio and then turn it back on. But we're going to open up the phone lines today. If you have questions about taking care of the elderly loved ones in your life, you can give us a call, 915-779-0016. We're live. This is June 2nd. So We're going to jump right into it. Without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Mr. Jacob Boggs. Jacob, welcome to 915 Talk.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you're physically robust. We had to move the camera back. Now you fit in the screen. Tell us about your journey of becoming a star linebacker at UTEP.
Well, first let's go back, and I was not a star. I was on the team, and I had some contributions.
Right. Hey, we all contribute. You know, I've never contributed to the football squad at UTEP, so that's pretty cool. I mean, you were like, we were sitting here talking, and you're like, well, I was a linebacker at UTEP, but we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah. We can talk about football. We don't need to talk about me. That's going to get old really quick.
Yeah.
Because it won't last about 5 seconds.
Well, you told me you played against LaDainian Tomlinson, and I asked you if you ever tackled him, and you said you tried.
Everybody tried. LaDainian I think he's top 5 all-time rusher in the NFL right now.
Yeah, he was really fun to watch with the Chargers, right?
Yeah, with San Diego and then Jets, I think, after that.
Yeah, a lot of fun watching LT. And I guess you watched him as well. From up close.
Watched him very closely.
Yeah, that's super fun. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Let's talk about, I guess, we'll start off with a little bit of a difficult conversation because we're talking about senior care, loving those in our life who might have those needs as they begin to age. Taking away the keys. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, taking away the keys.
Yeah.
So you have an elder parent or a loved one, a grandparent, and they're driving, and you know they should not be driving. That's a difficult conversation.
Right.
I talked to my parents about that. Not that they need that. They're not anywhere close to that. But my dad says when that time comes, we're going to blows. And I'm thinking by the time he needs me to take his keys away, it'll be an easy fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's funny. But it is interesting because you have someone who has contributed their whole life. They've amassed a lot of knowledge, so they know things, but maybe they aren't ready to accept the fact that they're declining physically or even mentally. And those are difficult conversations. Do you have a tip or a pointer on really sitting down and, really maintaining the dignity of your parents or whoever that would be, and also making sure that they don't end up just sitting on the couch and becoming immobile?
Absolutely. So every situation is different. The biggest thing that I've come across when talking to a family member, let's say an adult child who's looking for placement for their parent or loved one, is you want to make sure that loved one is informed as long as their faculties are there, they're cognitive, able to make decisions on their own. You want to allow that person to know that they're not just being kicked out of their home, they're not being removed from their home.
Right.
You got to have those conversations where here are reasons, here's what's going on, here's some care that you need, and then building that relationship. So it's really interesting. I always have this conversation with families, and our sales director has them all the time at the Legacy. When our residents, we call them residents when they move in with us and they reside at the Legacy.
Right.
When they come in, they live there, they're going to listen to us more than they're going to listen to their own children. And it's funny how that happens. If you think about it in real life, a stranger, like maybe your wife's telling you to do something, you're like, okay, well, yeah. But then somebody else has some insight.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, well, so-and-so said, such and such.
Right.
So it's building a relationship.
A prophet is without honor in his hometown. That's right. You got to bring someone else in.
That's right.
That's so interesting. The idea that finding a professional to be a part of that conversation can kind of take the pressure off of everyone. Because like what I'm hearing you say is like the parent might be, well, this is my kid. What do they know? In their mind, you might still be a teenager, even though you're a functioning adult with your own family and a mortgage and whatever else is happening in life. But then to be in a room with a professional, and the professional is the one saying, hey, listen, we'll help you take care of this one thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yes. Okay. So you have those conversations there at Legacy, at Cimarron. And so what I'm hearing you say is one tip is maybe don't take all that on yourself.
Do not. Yeah, seek help. And a lot of times what we do is we'll come to our potential resident, as we call them. We'll come to their home and meet with them and see their home and see the pictures on the wall and learn about their history. What do they do? What makes them happy? And it's a lot of folks have lived in their home 40, 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
And now you're asking them to leave.
Right.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
And it's hard to come to terms, but it takes a lot of hand holding. There's very few people out there at El Paso market in particular who are just, you say, hey, Mom, I think you need to go move somewhere. You need some extra help. And they're like, yeah, let's go. That seldom ever happens.
Right. Well, one thing that I've observed isn't so much that the kids are saying, hey, Mom, you need to move out. Usually that's not the case. It's the kids or even the spouse are unwilling to understand that they need help. Or I got this. I've seen that so often, particularly in married couples where, they've been together 50, 60 years. And how is it that I'm going to ask for someone to help with my husband or wife? What are some of the signs that someone does need help?
You can, first you can look, let's say you're pulling up to somebody's house. Look at the yard. How does the yard look? Is it well groomed? Is it taken care of? Not saying that they're out there doing it, but if it's well groomed, and maybe they're hiring some, so they're responsible enough to get somebody to come clean up. And you walk in the house. How does the house look? Is it put together? Is it tidy? Is it clean? Are things in different unusual areas? Is the stove being left on? There's different signs you can look for, and then having a conversation with somebody also, you can kind of fill out what's really going on. And a lot of times you do have that elderly couple who one's taking care of the other, and they're fatigued and they're tired.
Yeah.
It's hard. I can actually use my own grandparents in this situation. Great people, some of the best people I know. They've done so much for me, but my grandfather was declining a little over a decade ago, and my grandmother was his primary caregiver, and she was doing it all. And I was just getting my foot into senior living at the time, so I didn't know a whole lot, or else I could have been a better help. But she really needed a knee replacement, and it wasn't until she passed that she started taking care of her needs.
Right.
So it's oftentimes we neglect what we need, but the caregiver needs to take care of themselves too, or else care can't be provided.
Right. We chatted before you went on air. We came on air that Amy Minjares of Caring Companions has been on the program, and we've talked about that with her, was this idea that you might not need assisted living, you might not need full-time care at home, but you might not need help in the yard. You might not need all of these big things, but you do need to get out of the house for a couple hours a week to go to the grocery store and maybe clear your mind as a starting point. And I've seen where, this resistance to accepting help. What would you say to someone who's listening and maybe in their heart of hearts they know they need help, but they're really struggling to maybe come to terms with that?
I would say to be open. Open your heart, open your mind to accepting help. Just give it a try. If you don't like it, after time, a few weeks, whatnot, okay, go back to your old ways. But give it a try. And Amy's right. So what she spoke about, somebody come over, maybe it's 3 times a week for 3 hours of relief for the caregiver.
Right.
Let them go get their hair done, go do some shopping. Just get out, go for a walk, move your body.
Right.
and have some relief where you don't have to think about that.
Right. Okay. And I think one of the pieces of advice I saw or heard as I saw loved ones going through those kind of situations was you can be the husband and you can be the wife if you're not taking care of all these other things. And it does take off a lot of that pressure. And I've seen couples where they accepted some help and they were able to be husband and wife again and not the one who is needy and the one who's the caregiver. They were able to really get back to just spending time together and loving each other. So you are you're not just at Legacy at Cimarron, you are what is it, a senior living coach?
That's my other business, the senior living coach.
Okay, so you're, because I just had a senior graduate from high school, and but you're not talking about those seniors. But
No.
I could use some help with coaching my son.
Bring him out with me. We'll do a workout together.
No, that's perfect. But I'm joking, of course. But let's talk about the different levels of need, because again, I think we can think, well, grandma or grandpa or whoever it is needs help, and we might not know the different levels of need. What are some of those levels?
Sure. So I think everything starts out at home. So if you can bring caregivers into somebody's home to start out with, everyone wants to stay at home. And when I'm even talking to folks, my job is to move people in and grow our occupancy and provide great care for the residents who live with us. But starting at home, I always say start at home and bring care in there. Once it becomes too much or maybe too expensive, then that's when you just consider an assisted living or memory care if needed. And it can cut that cost in about half if you're having full-time care at home.
Right.
So that memory caregiving option, assisted living memory care, that would be a second. And then after that, you have different areas like skilled nursing and rehab, and that's high level of care that somebody needs. Of course, everybody knows about hospice, and hospice, for everyone listening, hospice is a really good thing. People can get real touchy with hospice because they think it just means you're going to die, and hospice is designed to keep people comfortable. I've seen folks on hospice for 2 years and then come off of it.
Right.
So it's just an extra member of the team, so to speak, to help provide comfort.
Okay, so if we're to talk about the spectrum of care that's offered, we can start off with, someone who comes over and maybe helps around the house for a couple hours a week, and then all the way through to hospice.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you talk about memory care. You're mentioning so many different things. I think that's why you're a coach, because again, people don't know what all those things are. But what would be an example of someone who comes in a direction you would point them?
So if somebody comes in, so at the Legacy, for example, we have what's assisted living, and that's an environment where we manage residents' ADLs, activities of daily living.
Okay.
And so they may need something as simple as medication reminders, and we administer their medication, or they may need medication reminders, help with going to the restroom, taking a shower, getting dressed, grooming, a whole different things that you and I take for granted and we just do every day.
Yeah.
Older folks need that, and that's what they move in, and we help provide that.
Right.
They've got their 3 meals. In addition to that, we provide activities for them, get them to and from doctor's appointments. We go on outings, different restaurants, museums in town.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the memory care, which I've mentioned. And so
Yeah.
memory care, it's actually, we call it, at the Legacy, we call it our Connections neighborhood.
Okay.
And it's a secured environment, so residents cannot get out. And we provide the same care as our assisted living residents, but it's a little smaller area, closer staffing ratio. Our team there is trained to provide care for the types of residents. So they're very forgetful. If you open the doors and let them go out, they would not make it on their own. They can go get hit by a car. They're not going to know where they're going. They're lost. So they're disoriented. But what we try to do is provide routine every day. So try to wake them up close to the same time every day. We're having breakfast at this time, then right into an activity, or if it's a shower, and then we follow up with lunch, and then activity again, and then dinner, activity, and bed. So
Right.
keeping in a routine.
Yeah, I spent a few minutes on the Legacy at Cimarron Facebook page today, and it was just talking about how when you send your loved one to assisted living, you need to make sure that the assisted living place is making sure that they're getting out, and not just being in their bedroom or going to lunch or whatever the case may be. I saw a video where it was like, well, are they going bowling? Are they going to their Bible study? Whatever the case would be. How does that work?
Yeah, so we actually have an activities calendar, and so our residents are able to view that. Of course, let's talk assisted living right now. Memory carers needs more assistance with that. But even our assisted living residents, we come around remind them. Our activities department, they come around, knock on residents' doors. Hey, we've got this activity. It's in 10 minutes. Come on down. And we don't always win. So sometimes residents will say, no, I don't want to come out. But we keep trying, and we keep trying. And meal times are actually the biggest activity of the day. Everybody comes down to eat.
Yeah.
And that's where most of the socialization takes place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, meals are important. I'll tell you a little bit of my family lore. My grandfather escaped out of his assisted living community in Florida, and he took his electric wheelchair back to his apartment complex, and he was going to throw a brick through his apartment window because he was mad. But he got there and he couldn't remember which apartment was his.
Oh, gosh.
and the assisted living community showed up in the van, and he was mad. And they said, well, we got to go. And he says, no, I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. And they said, well, dinner's starting in 20 minutes. He got back in the van. So I'm sure for him it was, very emotional, and I'm sure, in this line of work, you go through that a lot, but, it's been such a great, piece of family lore, and remembering him so fondly because it's so much character and personality in this situation. But also, when you're in this line of work, you have to know what's important to the residents, and you're saying like food's always right down there.
Always.
Yeah. All right. So you have these activities. Is it like if someone's been part of a particular, Bible study or church, you'll get them to that Bible study? Or is it just a Bible study? How does that work?
It's typically a Bible study. So we actually have a Bible study on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. So we actually have a very special lady. I don't know if you know, she goes by Ladybug. It's a nickname, but she goes by Ladybug. And she's a member of St. Mark's.
Okay.
And she started coming into the Legacy a decade ago. And nobody would show up. Now she's got about 35 residents who show up daily. But we can also make accommodations. So if somebody wants to get to, we're not able to really take somebody to off-site activity unless we're taking multiple residents, or they're going to a medical appointment. But the activities are designed in-house. So all the things we do are in-house. Now we have had, I don't know if you know, Mark Rotrammel at First Baptist.
Yeah.
So Mark's dad. Used to reside with us, and we play Mark's services, and we still do. And so we have Christian Bible study. We have a Catholic rosary later in the week, and so we're open to whoever wants to come in and serve the Lord.
No, that's so cool. Memory care. You were describing some of the fine folks you have with you. They're at that stage where you have to be very careful. That's your job, which you're very good at. But any tips you have for folks at home who have someone who's maybe experiencing some of just how can we love those loved ones well, who might not even remember who we are or what we just talked about, and we're repeating conversations.
Yeah.
All of,
One, be patient always.
mm-hmm.
You need to join their journey. So if I'm going to see one of my residents, and I go in and they call me son, and they start wrong with that, I'm not going to correct them and say, I'm not your
Interesting, yeah.
son.
Yeah.
He's not Michael. Are you kidding me? You know? And that's all it's going to do is confuse them, because they think I'm Michael, their son, and I'm not.
Right.
But I'm going to go along with it and play. And so I would say just join their journey. There's a lot of times where adult daughters, I've noticed a lot of times they have them,
Yeah.
and they'll say, oh, their mom will say, oh, my sister here. They're like, I'm not your sister. I'm your daughter.
Yeah.
Well, just go along with it. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's
okay.
okay.
Yeah. I think that's like the number one question people have, and you answered it. It's basically what you're saying is if someone's I don't know, dementia, Alzheimer's, I don't had dementia, but the question always is if they're saying something that's incorrect, should we correct them? And
No.
so the answer is no.
Don't correct them.
Just let it happen. There's no, what I'm hearing you say, there's no reason to create friction.
Don't disrupt their happiness.
Oh.
So you can potentially put them in a bad mood. Just go along with it.
Yeah.
You know, and dementia. So if I can just
Yeah,
touch on that
absolutely.
real quick, dementia is like a big umbrella, and aren't in the medical field, and I don't consider myself in the medical field. I'm in home care for elderly, but dementia is an umbrella. So under that you have Alzheimer's, which is the number one form of dementia. There's like 27 different kinds of dementia, and you can have so many strokes, and all of a sudden you have a cognitive decline, and that creates dementia. So dementia is it's kind of decline.
Right. Okay. So I would say for folks at home, I mean, like I didn't know that. My mom had dementia, and I thought it was just. Are you looking at what particular part of dementia they have, or are you just kind of serving them in the same way, kind of regardless?
Kind of serving them in the same way. It would be up to their medical doctor to tell us what kind of dementia they have.
Gotcha.
But we try to serve in the same way.
Okay. All right. And again, joining us with Jacob Boggs. He's with Legacy at Cimarron Assisted Living Facility, Memory Care Facility, and he's also the Senior Living Coach. Senior Living Coach.
That's correct.
Yeah. And if you have questions for us, the number is 915-779-0016. We'll put your question on the air. Or maybe you have a... I know that what we're talking about can be emotionally charged because we're talking about people that we love dearly who are kind of coming to grips with, aging and everything that comes along with it. And we as the children, the adult children, are trying to be respectful, loving, also careful. I told my family story of my grandfather, and it's, I think my family just thought it was amusing. Probably that place in Florida, us being really mad, but we were happy he made it back safely. But
So he was a stubborn man.
oh. Yeah, he's no longer with us. I think it's safe to say he was.
More stubborn somebody is, usually the longer they tend to live.
yeah. I think he was 2 weeks shy of his 100th birthday when he
Oh my
passed
gosh.
away. So he was around for a while, and he lived long. And that's funny that you say that. That's probably true. There's something to that. Stubborn does contribute to longevity. And if my wife's listening right now, she's going to say that I'm going to live to I'm 150. So. But again, we're with Jacob Boggs. We're talking about taking care of our elderly loved ones. But right now we have Charlie 1 on the phone. Charlie, what are you saying
Well,
out
there's
on
a
the
few
road?
things going on.
Yeah.
Two things going on right now. We're not too bad, but we have a crash. This is where I see a lot of congestion here. I-10 East at Loop 375, we have a crash here. It's on the right shoulder, so there's a lot of just 75 on the far east side. Pelicano and James Watt, we have a wreck. So caution in that area again. That's Pelicano and James Watt. That's a busy area right there. And but especially I-10 East Loop 375 is kind of like a jungle out there. And it can be a jungle out there on the roads. Make sure your teenager learns to drive safely and with confidence. The Jungle Driving School, located conveniently at the shop. Call 915-900-4943. 10% discount for KELP listeners. Andy, back to you.
Charlie 1, today we're with Jacob Boggs. He's a coach for those folks who are looking how to take care of their elderly parents. One of the things we talked about was sometimes you have to have that difficult conversation of taking away the key. In traffic in El Paso, have you ever seen a situation where an elderly motorist maybe got into a little bit of trouble?
Excuse me. I tell you what, it's happened where not, and probably a few times where there's been an accident where a person suffered a mild stroke, a heart attack, got sick or something. Sometimes it's a one-car accident, sometimes involving somebody else. But it's happened where an elderly person, just because of health problems, and then all of a sudden, there's a crash going on, and sometimes involving other vehicles. So kind of dangerous when you got to watch your health and driving, driving at the same time, Andy.
Yeah, well, it can be difficult to have that conversation, but here is if you're sharing it, having it over a bowl of menudo. Where would you recommend folks pick up that bowl of menudo for that difficult conversation?
That's Eastside Choice Meats, Loma Land and Trade. Very tasty menudo. It's a little bit spicy, but it's a good spicy. It's very delicious spicy, and you can pick it up because it's homemade menudo. It's in containers. You pick it up at Eastside Choice Meats. Your convenience, you warm it up in the micro and just enjoy it and have that conversation. But it's very, very tasty. And another thing, it's not going to really weigh you down like a big sirloin steak or a big hamburger with fries and everything, Andy.
Everyone, we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
And we're back with Jacob Boggs talking about taking care of the elderly loved ones in our lives. What's your take on menudo?
And then I learned what was inside of it, and I haven't tried it yet. And there's a lot of El Pasoans that are going to be disappointed in me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the self-awareness that people. I mean, your parents grew up in the Piedras, Alabama, Central El Paso area, and you've never had a bowl of menudo.
No. I may have tried it one time, but it didn't go further than that. Maybe I tried the wrong bowl.
Yeah, you should try the menudo from Eastside Choice Meats on the corner of Loma Land and Trailway.
Well, I'm going after this.
All right, so we're talking about elder care. Again, the phone lines are open if anyone has questions or comments about taking care of the elderly loved ones. 915-779-0016. We're talking about, Jacob, about this spectrum of need from just needing some help around the house for a couple hours a week all the way up to hospice. You're going to ask if someone reaches out to you.
Well, I like to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, I like to get in front of the person who needs help and observe what's going on. But usually it has to do with memory, typically. And assisted living and memory care are similar. Memory care, the difference is memory. Assisted living, residents have the choice to come and go as they please. Usually it has to do with forgetfulness, so some memory, and that's for assisted living too. We have assisted living residents who have memory issues, but they know their way around. They have good conversation. But I would say that's the number one indicator is memory.
So I'm just curious how this process works. Someone reaches out to you, you want to observe. Are you going into their home?
Yeah, so I want to be able to help people. What I've learned over the years, so 15 years of being in senior living, is that there's really not there's different resources out there, but I haven't met one that will act. So if somebody calls me and they say, hey, they kind of give me a scenario, what's going on. I'm going to say, okay, let's go meet. So meet the person in life.
Right.
And then I understand what the budget looks like.
Yeah.
And so at the Legacy, we are a high-end assisted living community, and we're expensive.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of folks in El Paso who can't afford that. And so that's what's driven me to start the senior living coach business, is to help those who can't afford the Legacy and help them find the right care that they need in town.
Okay, so I want to dive into everything you just said, but you mentioned earlier, like when you go into the house, you're watching how's the lawn being taken care of. You're watching everything, and so it sounds like your preference is actually to go to the house.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as they're not defensive, as you
Yeah,
said about
yeah.
that. And earlier on in the program, we talked about the difficult conversation, for example, of taking away the keys, or the difficult conversation of, hey, Dad, we need help. And what you were saying is having someone come in from the outside to assist with that conversation. What you've observed is the person who needs the care is often more open to that input than if it's their own son or daughter telling them.
Yeah, and it's built in a relationship. So Andy, if you had a relative who needed care, I'm not going to come in and tell them exactly what I do for a living. I'm going to say, hey, I'm Andy's friend, and we're going to just have conversation, and we're going to get to know each other. And I'm going to ask questions about their life history, what they enjoy, and just get to know that person. I'm going to build that friendship. And when I build that, then I can start having more serious conversation.
Right. Okay. And with all this, you were talking about how Legacy at Cimarron's high end. What are maybe some of the options that are out there that you think just describe, or maybe not the super high end? Maybe there's some government assistance, or I don't know what any of this looks like. But what are some of the options that maybe folks don't know about?
Yeah. Well, there's foster homes.
Okay.
There's of course there's assisted living communities in town that are not as expensive as the Legacy, West Side, East Side. There's also a lot of Medicaid. A lot of folks in El Paso are under Medicaid, and so there's Medicaid programs, and those are something to look at. I don't work with Medicaid, so I can't really comment on it, but I know there's good programs in town.
Okay. All right. So foster homes, what's a foster home?
Foster home, other parts of Texas, they call them group homes. Here we call them foster homes. Instead of, if I might be looking at the same resident moving into the Legacy as somebody who owns a residential foster home.
Okay.
So they either 3 or less residents.
Okay.
Once you hit 4 or more residents, then foster homes generally need to license with Texas. But
Okay.
that person care can move into either place. Typically, foster homes are going to be more affordable.
Okay. So can you give a price range?
Sure. The ones that I enjoy referring to are they're going to be in the $3,000 to $5,000 range.
Okay. And what's
So, okay. Typically, they're supposed to do what we do at the Legacy.
okay?
They're not as high staffed as we are, but provide 3 meals a day. They're supposed to provide care. And so care activities of daily living. So if it's toileting, bathing, helping getting dressed, grooming, things of that nature, medication administration. And then a big difference between a foster home and what we do is foster homes have because of staffing, it's harder to really get the activities that I've seen that I like. Really good job, but oftentimes you see, somebody watching TV, and and I like to see more engagement.
Right.
'Cause you want to see people become stimulated.
Right.
And so I think that's what separates the Legacy from a lot of other places.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. What I'm curious about is why would you, and I don't know the dollar amount for this, so that would be interesting to learn about too, but why would you choose a foster home rather than in-home care at your own house?
because of cost.
Okay.
So in-home care, like Caring Companions, like
Yeah.
Amy's company, they're going to bill by the hour. And so if you have less hours, then it's going to be more affordable.
Right.
You just need a little bit of help during the week. But now if you're getting into, 20, 24 hours a day, around the clock, now it's getting pricey. And so reason somebody goes to a foster home is probably cost.
Okay, so that makes sense. So having the in-home care, if you can afford it, is amazing.
Yep.
For 20 hours a day, probably most people aren't getting it for that many hours. 2 to 4 hours would be my guess. I actually don't know. But then when you're needing more and more hours of care, it can become very pricey. And the amount you mentioned, I mean, $3,000 to $5,000 a month. It's certainly not free.
Yeah.
But to have your loved one taken care of in a loving environment, it does seem. I'm sure it's less than some of the high-end assisted living facilities.
Yes, it is. And 5,000, you're getting into kind of competition with assisted living communities in town, the good ones.
Okay.
And but 3,000 is kind of the range. I would say 2,500 to 4,000, you can find a really decent foster home to reside in.
And is it the I don't know, the owner is actually living in the house with him?
Sometimes.
Okay, sometimes.
Yeah. And I've often thought, man, I should open a foster home. And then so you buy a house. And
you've often thought that. I've never thought that.
Yeah. Well, being
You're
in
a
the
good man.
industry, yeah. you see things and you're like, man, I could do this. But the big thing for me, and to be fully transparent, I don't have time, nor am I wanting to do all what I call the dirty work. I don't want to do the toileting and the bathing every day.
Yeah.
Now I've done it because sometimes you're forced into it, and as a leader of a community, you've got to jump in there and do it when you got to do it.
Right.
But I don't want to do that on a day-to-day basis.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Hats off to the folks who do it. Right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And I assume again you visit these places, you see a difference. The main difference you pointed out was what the activities are like in these foster homes. What are some simple activities that the foster homes do that just seems to work?
Oh gosh, I haven't seen a whole. I see a lot of TV. So a lot of TV on, but I'll also see card games. I think card games are good.
Sure.
It's stimulation. There's always arts and crafts, and those are things we do as well. But those are I don't see a whole lot of outings.
Yeah.
It's more just they're kind of stuck unless
they're
family
taken
comes.
care
in.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the family can always visit. And then, I was, as I was mentioned, I visited the Facebook page of Legacy at Cimarron. It's lots and lots of videos of activities. So what are some of those activities?
Well, we like to do the typical arts and crafts, card games. We actually tried years ago. We tried eliminating bingo because it's such a stereotype that you go to a senior living community, they're going to do nothing but play bingo, and we tried just removing a couple sessions each week, and residents were not having it, so we had to continue with our bingo.
Well, I'll just say this. When I come of age, I hope to be able to spend some time at Legacy at Cimarron. You better still have bingo.
Yeah, for sure. But we get out too. So we take our residents out, like I mentioned earlier, to restaurants. We go to the War Eagles Air Museum, Art Museum. There's different places in town. Sometimes they'll go to a movie. We do these things in-house as well. And we have parties. Our biggest party of the year is actually Cinco de Mayo. And we have mariachis come over, and our dining service director, she prepares a ton of food, and we have drinks.
Yeah.
And it's a good time.
Yeah, that's so much fun.
Yeah.
All right, we do need to take a break. If you're just joining us, we're with Jacob Boggs. He's the senior care coach. What's your phone number if someone's needing some coaching or needing you to talk to their parents?
915-203-2222. 6677.
203-6677. 915-203-6677. If you're looking for someone to kind of come and take stock of the situation. Or the other thing I'm thinking about, not to put you on a spot, but that's what I always do with all my guests, is I think sometimes siblings can be in disagreement about what to do. And maybe having a third party come in and say, well, let's let this guy decide.
You know, they're all oftentimes in disagreement.
Right.
And so that's why it's always good to have a person in charge, as one of your previous guests, Jacob Barty, spoke about from a legal standpoint.
Right.
But yes, there's often disagreements, and I'll tell you, it's usually the family member who lives out of town, and there's a family member in town, and they're doing all the work, they're seeing everything that's happening,
Right.
and they say, hey, we got to do something. And then the one out of town is saying, we don't need to move them. They're fine. Everything's good. I just talked to them over the phone.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, man, we need to dive deeper into that, but we do need to take this break. We'll be right back. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
You can now feed your mind, feed your soul by listening to KELP Radio on your Alexa device. Just say, hey Alexa, play KELP Radio.
915.
Testify.
When I was 11 years old, my parents had an abusive relationship that ended with a divorce. My father began drinking excessively and my mother left us. I took responsibility for my siblings, but in the process, I built up aggression and anger because I didn't have a normal teenage life. I began fighting and got kicked out of school. My last fight led to charges being pressed against me. I was on the path to juvenile. Thankfully, it did not go any further. I was giving community hours. In search of a place that could help me, I ended up in church. During the worship practices, I fell in love with the music they played for God. I was asked if I wanted to sing with the band. I automatically said yes. I married the worship leader and now have 2 beautiful kids. God rescued me from the dark path I was on and molded me to the wife and mother I am today. He brought the peace that I was in search of during my teenage years. My name is Jeanette Delgado. If God did this for me, He can do it for you.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
And by the word of their testimony.
Desertvoice.media.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Fricker. Today we're with Jacob Boggs. We're talking about, what are we talking about? Senior care.
Senior care.
Taking care of our elderly loved ones. It's such a big topic. Again, it can be so emotionally charged. And before we went into the break, I think you brought up just casually, maybe the most emotionally charged part of it. It's when siblings disagree on how to take care of mom. And you brought up the dynamic where one sibling might have mom in the house with them, and the other sibling lives 12-hour drive away, and so they only see mom at Thanksgiving and Christmas, so to speak. What is the dynamic, again, in those kind of situations?
Sure. Oftentimes, and not always, but oftentimes, if you have a disagreement, it's the sibling out of town who's really not there, and it's not their fault that they're not contributing. They just don't live there. Mm-hmm. But they think, okay, I just talked to mom, talked to dad. They sound good over the phone. And let me tell you, people, even though somebody might have dementia or some disease, they can play the part short term. Yeah. You know, in a quick conversation, they can sound good in person or sound good over the phone. But oftentimes it's not the case. And so you have the caregiver locally who's providing care, whether mom or dad live with that person or not. They're the ones they're going over, or they're driving over and cutting the grass, doing the yard work, making sure that they're taken care of. making sure there's food to eat.
Sure.
Oftentimes as people age, they can't cook anymore. They can't prepare food. So this person's doing everything.
Yeah.
And it really cuts into their lives. And it cuts into, especially if somebody's married
Yeah.
and they're a caregiver, it comes into that marriage as well.
Right.
And a lot of times the in-law, who they're married to, is pretty understanding, but also at the same time they want their spouse and they want to have their life as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are really, really big issues, big questions. I guess, like the remedy for this might be obvious, or maybe I'm wrong on this, but it's like, if you live far away, come and visit for more than a couple days, just so you can really get a sense of the situation.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great if you're contributing financially or whatever the case may be, but nothing can replace that in-person interaction.
And it relieves your sibling
Right.
who's providing all the care.
Right.
So come in for, yes, more than a couple days.
Yeah, because you bring up an interesting point too, how, over the phone or whatever the case may be, that this elderly relative who might be dealing with memory loss knows how to cover it up, and they're always going to cover it up, right?
Oh, always.
Yeah, or at least try.
They're going to try, and they're pretty good at it.
So interesting.
Yeah.
And I think with that, when you're dealing with memory loss, it's almost like really too late to make big life decisions.
Yes. Yeah.
And so what are some of the decisions you would encourage people to make early on, given your wide experience
Sure.
with folks who are dealing with memory loss?
I would say the problem is people want to stay at home until they die.
Yeah.
They want to die in their home, and that's great, and you don't know how many times somebody's come to me and said, I really wanted to keep them home because that was their request.
Yeah.
But I just can't. I can't. They're managing their job. They're managing their spouse.
Yeah.
Their family.
Their kids.
And their kids. They got their life, and now
Sure.
they got mom and dad who's going downhill, and they have to make a move. So
Right.
it's good for while you're cognitive and you're aging. Have everything drawn out.
Yeah.
Talk to your family. Tell them what you want, and if finances allow it, then you could probably get what you want.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, there's got to be some alternative requests in there.
Yeah, I think those conversations are very often, well, if I lose my mind, take me out in the woods.
Yeah.
But that's, it's always said jokingly, but that's not real instruction.
No.
Can't do that, Mom.
Yeah.
And then with the other end of the spectrum is, well, I don't care what happens as long as I'm here. And maybe part of it is just coming to a realization that this might not be realistic for my kids, for me always to be here. It might be something like, I want to stay at a nice place, but I expect you to be there.
Yeah.
3 nights a week.
Yeah.
2 nights.
You run into that a lot, and it's
Right.
it's sad.
Yeah.
One thing if I could just while you're talking, I just thought of this is Christian radio, and
Sure.
we want to grow as Christians every day,
Yeah.
and we want to open our hearts and our minds, and we always want to, whatever comes into our lives, we want to use it for God's glory, and we want to have joy. And we have to know, as we age, we have to be realistic. We don't think about it until something happens to you.
Yeah.
You could be 80 years old and you're healthy,
Sure.
and then the next day something happens.
Yeah.
We always have to, as Christians, as we age, we always want to put God first, always. And as we age, I keep repeating myself. Sorry, I'm just gathering my thoughts in my little tiny brain here.
Yeah.
Live for God. So
Sure.
if we have a disability that we're aware of, and do it for the Lord, live it out, live out your life, and put Him first in all you do.
Yeah.
That's not always the case, right? As we're aging, and then aches and pains come, and I have not hit that point, so I cannot relate, but I see it every day.
Yeah.
And so we just do the best we can to serve Him and to live for Him. And
Right.
and as we come across different points in our life, different challenges. It's so important to focus on that, and it's hard to do.
Yeah, I love that you're saying that. You know, even in this very difficult time of life where it can be such a sense of loss, is keeping God first. When my mom was having dementia, she went into assisted living, and I was just seeing the pain she was going through, and I was like, God, why is this happening? But my oldest brother ended up becoming the chaplain at the assisted living facility. I think he took an online course, this is up in Ohio, and became ordained, and this whole thing. And I think we saw more than 40 decisions for Christ in the 2 years she was there, or I think it was not quite that long, but in the time she was there, we saw healings. We saw so many amazing things, and just understanding that even this very difficult point in life can have so much purpose.
100%. And we're constantly leading younger, as you age, you're leading younger people. So people are watching your behaviors and say, look what this person is going through, and look how they're handling it.
Right.
And that's setting an example for younger people.
Right. Well, Jacob, hours flown by. We only have a little bit more than a minute left. You've been 15 years in elder care. You're at Legacy Assisted Living. You're now a senior living coach. You're also over at Calvary Chapel Sun City. Shout out to Pastor Terry. Someone's broadcast comes up at 5:00. But with all these things in mind, what would your prayer be for the elderly here in the borderland?
Probably what I just alluded to is that, one, I just pray that they have the Lord in their hearts. If I can tell a quick story.
You have 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, we had a non-believer as a resident. He's 93 years old. Fast forward to last Thursday. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I spoke with him. I would say, open your heart, accept the Lord. He did. I was walking by his apartment. God called me, said, go in there. I did.
Yeah.
And so you just feel that feeling. We talked about 30 minutes. I didn't save him, and I think he was on his way to being saved. But I said, do you believe Jesus is the Messiah? Jesus is your Savior. You repent of your sins, and yes. And then he just had so much peace, and died last Thursday.
Wow.
Died over the weekend.
Wow.
But so we know where he is. So I would say to the elderly people, hang in there. The transition to eternal salvation is coming for all of us, and it's going to be beautiful. It'll be worth the pain.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's what a amazing way to end our conversation today, Jacob. Let's pray for the elderly in our community. Let's approach them with love and with a mind of a missionary. That's what I heard you just say. So we're completely out of time. Again, give us your cell phone or your phone number for those who are interested in getting some coaching.
915-203-6677.
203-6677. Again, thank you for coming in today. As we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and let's love our elderly loved ones and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media and click on the 915 Talk link. Let's continue to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.